sọ̀rọ̀ gbogbo ẹ̀ la fi bá wí. Àìmọ̀ ẹni ṣe ni, àìmọ̀ ẹni ṣe ni, ọlọ́run má jẹ́ rí. I can't open every door and every window. So get on, Satan. Oh, Satan be gone. Get on, Satan, Satan be gone. Satan be gone. Get on, Satan, Satan be gone. I'm money shiny. Satan be gone. Get on, Satan, Satan be gone. Help me. I can't open every door and every window. So get on, Satan. Oh, Satan be gone. Get on, Satan, Satan be gone. Satan be gone. Get on, Satan, Satan be gone. Satan be gone. Get on, Satan, Satan be gone. Satan be gone. Get on, Satan, Satan be gone. Help me. I can't open every door and every window. So get on, Satan. Oh, so get on, Satan. Oh, so get on, Satan. Oh, Satan be gone. Get on, Satan, Satan be gone. Satan be gone. Get on, Satan, Satan be gone. Satan be gone. Get on, Satan, Satan be gone. Satan be gone. There's a situation, everybody speculates.
Industries PLC. Please, I'd like to request for our guests seated at the back, could you come forward, please, so we fill up the spaces in between? Thank you. You'd also notice some QR codes on the screens near you. These are soft copies of the presentation that we're going to be run through today, so you can easily scan them and then you get your own copy as well. The Facts Behind the Listing series was created by the Nigerian Exchange to provide newly listed entities with a platform to address market stakeholders. The aim of this is for businesses to share insights behind their listings, and this is what Mikio Industries PLC will be doing today. My name is Isioma Ambrose, and I will be your moderator for this session. We heartily welcome the management of Mikio Industries to its very own session. Before we proceed, we will go through the safety protocols. I crave your indulgence as we please watch the video about to be played. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nigerian Exchange Group Event Center. At Nigerian Exchange Group, your comfort and safety is our priority. As part of our health and safety policy, please listen to the following announcement. For your convenience, the restrooms are located to your right, just outside the door of this event hall. In the unlikely event of an emergency, 2 exits have been provided for your use. A stairway that you can access from the lift lobby just before you enter the event center. Another emergency exit is located right behind the stage's backdrop. The door can be opened by pushing the handle. Please do not use the elevators during an emergency. Rather, locate the nearest exit from where you are sitting in a calm and orderly fashion. Emergency responders will also be available to provide additional instructions as required. Please switch off your cell phones or activate the silent function so we don't interrupt the proceedings here today. Once again, welcome, and do enjoy your stay at Nigerian Exchange Group.
Thank you everyone for watching. Please remember to put your phones on silent. At this juncture, I will be introducing our esteemed personalities seated at the high table. From the management team of Mikio Industries PLC, we have Mr. Samir Udani, Chairman, Mikio Industries PLC. Welcome, sir. We'll also have Mrs. Duko Andelin, Co-CEO, Mikio Industries PLC. Welcome to the exchange, ma'am. We'll also have Mr. Ifedamola Oluwasegun, CFO, Mikio Industries PLC. Welcome to the exchange, sir. And Mr. Felix Anaje, Executive Director, Sales and Marketing, Mikio Industries PLC. Welcome, sir. From the management team of the Nigerian Exchange Limited, we have Mr. Drew Chiemeka, Executive Director, Capital Markets, NGX. We also have Dr. Olufemi Oyenuga, Head, Technology and Digital Innovation. Welcome, sir. We have Mr. Tony Ibeziako, Head, Primary Markets, NGX. And respectively as well, we have the Doyen of the Market, Mr. David Aonri. Welcome, sir. For us to officially begin this session, we'll be taking an opening remark by Executive Director, Capital Markets, Mr. Drew Chiemeka. Over to you, sir.
All right, thank you. Let me start by saying that the CEO that was with us earlier couldn't make this session of the ceremony because of the various moving parts going on now at the exchange. But let me just welcome Mikio Industries for taking the initiative to be listed on our exchange. A lot of talk has already been done. I'm sure we're now waiting for the hard facts behind the listing, so I wouldn't want to delay that. But just to say congratulations to Mikio, to the chairman and the board for taking this initiative. The exchange continues to be a worthy partner, and we will continue to provide advocacy for listed corporates, especially in the areas of tax breaks. What we have seen is that listed companies are usually more compliant tax-wise, and also because of the heightened level of governance, corporate governance within their structure, they tend to provide quite a bit of employment for the many youths that we have in the country. So that said, we're looking forward to an exciting session just to get details of the facts behind the listings. Thank you, and once again, welcome Mikio Industries.
Thank you, Mr. Jude. I'll call on Mr. Ifedamola Oluwasegun now to make his presentation, please.
Okay. Good afternoon once again, everyone. Thank you for making the time out to be with us today. It's an exciting day for the company. It's an exciting journey for us, and it marks a significant milestone for the company. I will go through the presentation I have here. I'll try to be as brief as I can while we go through the presentation. Okay. So what I have here is just a sorry. Okay. So what I have here is a brief snapshot of the leadership of the company. You have the chairman, you have the co-CEO, Arjun Udani, and Mrs. Andeline Duko, who's seated here with us. We have Felix Anaje, who's an ED, Sales and Marketing, and we have the non-executive director, Chidi Okoro. This will be the highlights of how my presentation is going to be. We're going to have the overview of Mikio Industries PLC, Mikio operating environment, and financial highlights and performance, and then management strategy and outlook. Now, as Chairman has said, Mikio initially started as a trading company. So they used to export from China into Nigeria, or will I say West Africa, as it may. However, there was a lot of traction coming out from Nigeria. We're importing a lot, and at some point, Chairman decided to take that trip to the country. And I know today we're all searching for FDI as it is, but he took that leap of faith and registered the company in 2005 here in Nigeria. We manufacture drugs in Nigeria under two categories, pharmaceutical and nutraceutical. And it's broken down into three. You have OTC medicine. I think I prefer this, actually. Yeah. It's broken down into three. You have OTC medicines, which is your over-the-counter, like your aspirin and the likes. You have branded generics, such as your Ampiclox, where our brand is called Lamclox. And then you have your dietary supplements. So that's to break it down. You also have key milestones of the company over the years from 2005 to 2023, which is where we are today. Like I said, this definitely marks a significant milestone for the company, where we received the approval from both the SEC and the NGX to be listed here on the stock exchange. Mikio Industries PLC has a sister company, which many of you know Mikio by, which is Mikio Healthcare, and that is a diagnostics company. Most people here have probably used that service at several times, probably even this year. And so both companies together have been awarded with, have made significant accomplishments over the years. Mikio Healthcare was incorporated in 2009, so 4 years after Mikio Industry, and that obviously goes to show the belief that Chairman, the founder, had in Nigeria, where he had to start another company, and he's very passionate about the healthcare and pharmaceutical space. So these are a couple of awards and recognition that both companies have received over the course of the year. Best Diagnostic Service Company of the Year in Africa 2019, first healthcare app in Nigeria with GPS technology, best diagnostics, and a couple of other achievements. Now, what are the investment highlights for the company? Now, first things first, I'm sure we can all agree that Mikio has a very strong brand. When you say the name Mikio in the Nigerian ecosystem, everybody knows Mikio. It might be for the diagnostics, but even the pharmaceutical brand is very well known, and mostly because of our quality. Like the co-CEO had said earlier upstairs, that we practice a risk-based approach in terms of how we deliver our products. So that quality has obviously made the brand very strong. When you hear Mikio, it's a household name. We do have market share. As it is today, when you look at the listed companies, pharmaceutical companies on the stock exchange, we would say we have, in terms of revenue, market share somewhere be around 30%. So we have strong market share. We have a brand product range, broad product range of over about 74 products across those three categories. It's also a large growing market, which we know. So just to look at some figures of the company over the last 4 years, in 2019 there, you'd see that the company had a revenue of 15.8 billion. And in 2020, that grew to 17.4 billion. In 2021, we had 20.6 billion. And last year, we closed at 26.6 billion. So the company has constantly grown at an average of about 18% year on year in terms of growth. As well as when you then look at the market share, like I said, in terms of our growth, in terms of market share, you would see Mikio's market share there as at estimated 2023 figure, you have 33.94. So that goes to show the strength and growth of the company. The company, like I said, operates two major outlets. We have the pharmaceutical and nutraceutical. However, we're in the process of locally manufacturing the nutraceutical side of the business. That usually was like a trading business. So what you see here on this screen is the breakdown of the revenue across the years. So on top here, you have the revenue by manufacturing, and below you have the revenue by nutraceutical, right? So this, it's not the updated slide, but so this is just a snapshot of how the processing goes. We have tablets, capsules, and syrups. What's going on with the screen? Okay. We have tablets, capsules, and syrups. So the tablet goes through granulation, compression, coating, packing. Similarly, the capsule goes to blending through a sifter, encapsulation, and packing. And then your syrup is the sugar making, cooling, mixing, and filling. And then that goes straight to your finished goods. So this is just sort of like the process of how the manufacturing of the drugs are. There's the board of Mikio. You have the chairman there leading the team, co-CEO Arjun. He basically oversees finance, accounts, logistics, procurement, and stores. While you have Mrs. Duko, who oversees regulatory affairs, manufacturing, quality control, assurance, and human resources. We have Chidi Okoro, an independent director, as well as Madam Ayotunde Owoigbe as non-executive director. And then we have Felix and Ajay, Benedict Agbo, and Ajay, and they're also directors in the company. There's the management team as well. Arjun and Madam Duko both sit as co-CEOs of the company. Ajay, Felix as executive director, myself as the CFO. And we have an operating officer, Nitesh Gupta, who basically oversees operations at the factory. You have the chief technology officer, Samip, and then you have the head of HR, Kemi Ikpinaye. So, operating environment, which is basically the pharmaceutical space in Nigeria, it's a growing space. You'd see over the years, we've had, in terms of government's recurring expenditure, it's growing. We could do better, but it's growing. From 2020 to 2021 to 2022, we've grown from 363 to 462. So it's a growing space. But the contribution of the pharmaceutical industry to the GDP is still quite low. As at Q2 2023, we have 0.5%, so that's still quite low. And so there's still a lot of headroom for more to be done. And we're happy to obviously lead the charge in that space. Also, when you then look at comparing Nigeria to the rest of the world, in terms of healthcare expenditure as a percentage of BDP, we're not too bad. We're sitting somewhere at 3.38. The rest of the world is led by Brazil at 10.31. In terms of the portion of private expenditure on healthcare in Nigeria, we're at 75%. What that means is basically people spend out of pocket of about 75% on healthcare. What are the growing trends in this industry? One is after COVID-19, we've seen a situation where a lot of people are taking their healthcare a lot more seriously. People are now going for regular checkups. People are now ensuring that they take their vitamins, they watch what they eat, they go to the gym, and there's a lot of consciousness towards health. We've also seen an increased use of technology in different, broad, almost every sector. We've had deep in technology. We've also had healthcare organizations beginning to come together to have conversations. So we've seen that as well. And then there's been support by the government. There were a lot of interventions from 2020 till today by the government. So there's been a lot of that. However, there's still heavy reliance on imports. As the chairman said earlier, about 70 to 75% of manufactured products are still imported into Nigeria today. So let's just look at the financial highlights for the company. Revenue grew year on year in terms of Q3, that's 9 months. For 2022 versus 2023, we were at 20.8 last year at the end of September, and this year is 21.58 billion. The finance cost grew by 39%, but that's because of two reasons. One, we've seen the CBN constantly increase MPR rates for the most of this year, trying to bring down inflation. So that's contributed to that growth. But also, the company is going through a major expansion of where it's setting up 2 standalone plants, Bicta-Lactam and Cortical Storage. And so we're in that process of expanding. So there's been some increased borrowings. And so that's why you have that growth there. The PAT marginal decline by 0.39%, which is actually spanning from the increased finance cost. Because when you then look at, when I go down to looking at the gross profit and operating profit, you see that we actually grew on both indices. So this is really just a factor of the increased finance cost. The total assets has grown. Like I told you, we're going through a serious expansion with 2 standalone plants. So it had a growth of 34% there. Equity as well has grown. Over the years, the company has believed so much in itself and in the country that a lot of the profit, and almost all the profit actually, is plowed back into the business to keep expanding the business. And then liability grew by 22%. So like I said, if you look at the gross profit and the operating profit, you would see that the company is still doing quite well. We have 7.48 as gross profit and 4.36 as operating profit. The revenue as at 9 months today, I just need to clarify that what you have there in 2022, that's the full year 2022 versus 9 months 2023. So it's not, the same full year, just to clarify. And as well, when you look at the revenue, we ended last year at 26.64, Right now, we're at 21.58, and I think we're still in line to hit, we're looking to close the year at about 30 billion. Yeah. The PBT as well, ending of 9 months, we're at 2.6, 5, and 1.99. And then assets and liability at 34.53 and 23.22. This is how the company has fared in terms of gross profit margin and operating profit. Gross profit margin is at 34.64 and operating profit margin at 20.21. Return on equity 9 months this year is at 17.58, which I'm sure most of the brokers here are probably happy to see that figure because that's probably where your interest lies. But when you look at your net profit margin, you see that the company has steadily grown over the last 5 years. Return on asset as well. This year we're at 5.76%. So what's the outlook? I mentioned this earlier. We have the beta-lactam department and you have the corticosteroid. Now, beta-lactam, many of you may know as amoxicillin, if I'm right. Sorry, I'm not a pharmacist. Aha, but some of you may know a drug called Augmentin. And I'm sure most of you have seen the price shoot up in the market. That's because what you typically have is imported. We'll be the first to do manufacture that locally in Nigeria. So I think we deserve so yeah, we also are doing a corticosteroid, which is a steroid usually used for inflammation. It's like a cream, you use it on inflammation. So these two plants are at a level of OEB3, right? OEB3, right? So what that basically means is it's a standard that I don't even think any industry, any pharmaceutical industry operates at today. It's a very stringent operational procedure in terms of quality, in terms of humidity, in terms of air quality within the factory. So it's a huge investment that the company is doing, undertaking in going that route. So basically, these two products, the beta-lactam, we believe, will be concluded at the end of this year, while the corticosteroid, we believe, will be concluded by Q2 2024. Both of them would bring or generate a total revenue to the company of somewhere around 8 to 12 billion combined. Additionally, company is looking at a couple of molecules in the pipeline. We're looking at about 180 new molecules and formulations in the pipeline, and they'll be cut across these different categories. You have your acute, about 14 products there, chronic, about 19 products there, nutraceutical, 60, and oncology products, about 8 there. And so these are the products in the pipeline. When all these come to play, we're going to have a total of about 254. So we're going from 74 to 254. So we're, very busy. That's the word used. Company is also thinking of, so I think upstairs, the Doyen mentioned how Nigeria used to be very known, in terms of import pharmaceutical products, and then we lost that edge because of fake products. So this technology, we believe, would be a game changer in terms of that. Now, what this does is when you have a product and you scan the QR code, it will give you the life cycle of that product, from the factory to the distributor to the retailer to how it got to you in your home. So you can track to ensure that the quality and the authenticity of that product is genuine. So we believe it's going to be a game changer in the industry, and that's what the company is doing. I think we should launch this next year, I believe so. Other growth drivers within the company is, one, increased production capacity. As Chairman had mentioned earlier, we are even struggling to meet the demand that we see today in the market. So for us, we need to just keep increasing our production capacity. We've grown significantly over the years in terms of space and manufacturing lines. Also, we're going to expand new molecules, like I had mentioned earlier, going from 74 to about 254, as well as chemotherapy medications. This is directed strictly at cancer. We've seen that cancer is becoming a nightmare in today's world. It's constantly, a lot of people, or probably most of us here, know a loved one that we might have lost to cancer. So this is a significant area that the company is seeing opportunities in. This is just a snapshot of some pictures from the beta-lactam department, which I had mentioned earlier. So these are some equipments that have been brought into the country and are currently being installed at the factory. And that brings it to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. We will now be taking comments, observations, questions from our guests. My colleagues in the aisle will pass the mic. We'll take questions in sets of twos. Someone's hand is up at the front, please.
Good afternoon, the distinguished men at the high table. My name is Andy Sakru. I trade for Capital Care. Let me join the host of other earlier speakers coming from the 8th floor till now in congratulating Mikio for taking the bold step of choosing to come to the market where you must have to dance and dance naked. Yes, you have to dance naked because you will have to be open for us to read you and read through you. So it's a bold step. I've been a beneficiary of your services at the diagnostic end, but I'm not a pharmacist, so I will not be speaking oncology or the others. Be that as it may, the language that this market speaks and understands is figures. So I'll be speaking to figures. I'll be glad to know at the current level of Mekior's operations, the extent to which you're financed by equity and debt, because you made reference to the size of your debt without actually telling us to what extent you're geared. That is important because it will help us to understand to what extent you still intend to borrow or to finance through the equity space now that you're here. The second issue has to do with the forecast. There was a lot of speaking to it, but there were no numbers to give us an indication as to where we're headed. I heard you clearly when you talked about the profits you've been making, which have been repeatedly plowed back for expansion purposes. And there's no mistake in that. But you will have to have an investor who is long-term in view and has no need for current needs to be able to wait perpetually before he harvests a return. So if I'm going to buy into Mikio, what should I be looking forward to? In the long run, we may all be dead. And therefore, I need something today to be able to withstand the needs of today. So what should I be looking forward to? Lastly, now that you're here, arising from my earlier question about debt, how much equity are you likely to be raising in the near term? Thank you.
Shall we get responses from the Mikio team, please?
Okay, thank you for your questions. So I'll just quickly take the first one. In terms of our debt to equity, the ratio we are at right now is 0.826. So that's actually less than 1%. Yeah, so we're in terms of our debt to equity, we're still very good. And like I said, most of the borrowings that I mentioned is actually for expansion. And so we believe that when we're in this growth phase, we can't shy away from debt. Yeah. So I think your second question was around dividend, I believe. So we've grown. It's a journey for us, right? This company started as a trading company, as a family-owned company. Now, typically what you would have seen with most founders is that they actually take the money out. What has happened is it's been plowed back because it's been a family company. And so we've been investing in ourselves because we believe in ourselves and we've been growing at that rate. Now we're a listed company. Definitely we're going to go on that journey of giving out dividends to shareholders. So you have no worry on that. I think as soon as I guess, yeah, next year. Final question you asked is how many shares will be listed. As at today, we have about 500. Today, we're listing by introduction. We're not here to raise money. However, we have 500,000 shares available to trade. Over the next 1 year, that would significantly improve all the way to 20% of the company. Thank you.
Thank you for your response, sir. Shall we get more questions, please?
Yeah, okay. Sorry, just to add to, that, apart from, the statutory listing, yes, we are looking to go to an IPO, if that's your question. So yes, we will go through an IPO in the coming years. Yeah, I mean, we're learning, so let's start our journey and get there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. For the records, my name's Nona Ao, and I do work for Palesa Capital Market Associates. Let me also join the earlier speakers in welcoming you to the market, because not too many persons and organizations are bold enough to borrow the language of the first speaker to come and undress and dance naked. But I want to say that I literally strained to hear your presentation. I wasn't sure whether the mic was shy of you or you are shy of the mic. But I'm hoping that now that you can hear me, probably your responses will also be better with the mic closer to your mouth when you give your next response. But having said that, let me say that the first request I will make of you as a newcomer to the market, try and stay close to your advisors. And because one of the things experience have shown over the years is that once you get into the market, you get all sorts of new friends. And in the process, you are driving your car not too certain of the direction that you need to go. I'm happy you talked about new and you are willing to learn. It's a major item I will want you to take away from here. However, since your advisors are also here, I was just wondering, in the market that you're trading today, a little over 300,000 was traded. And you had a demand of almost over 24 million. Yes, I don't expect that you sell all your shares to everybody else. But what determined you having to sell just 300,000 naira? 300,000 units of shares. Because again, if we go by the rules that the exchange itself has set for the market, if you trade less than 100,000, you can't make a price. So I just want to understand so that we all be on the same page. And then, but talking to the financials, one of the things I'm saying is that next year, when you are presenting your chart, you also be talking about a chart as to how your share price has grown, which I'm sure a number of investors will be interested in. But it's important that for me, you speak to the issue of your present position, especially having to do with raw material, and given that you are also in the OTC market, given that OTC market also have the lowest in terms of margin, how are you going to marry this? So at the result that we'll be looking at going forward will not be that depressed as we've seen with quite a number of pharmaceutical firms. By the way, I will also be hoping that after this meeting, the third quarter is already ended, that you send to the exchange the third quarter report for 2023, comparing it with 2022. And the reason that this is important, again, alluding to what the first speaker said, people are going to price you based on the information available. If there are no information, yes, some persons may be very eager to get into you now, and thereafter they will take a back seat. But for the board, I was excited when I saw 2 CEOs, and I know that that is one major character of Shell. So will you throw some light around when you have 2 ogas, how does the ship get to run through the water? Because that for me is also important. And I'm hoping that now that you are in the market, probably before you come for your IPO, since you indicated one, that one major thing that you must also try and do is to bring in minority representative on your board. Because having read the report that I saw online vis-a-vis what I'm seeing now, all of them are holders in terms of what your position is. So it will be important that the minorities get to come on your board so that everybody will also be on the same page. Let me close my request in saying that I will confess to you that the market is a lover of new persons. So now that you are new, however, the love will last longer. Don't forget when you are very, very open with timely and quality information. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
We'll take one more question and then responses. Anybody else? Okay, shall we get a response, please?
Okay. So in terms of apologies if you couldn't hear me during my presentation. Perhaps it was the mic, but I guess I'm sure you can hear me now, hopefully. Okay. So in terms of what we thought of behind 500,000, there was really no strategy to that. We knew that the market needed to have liquidity. Like I said, as of today, what we are here to do is to list by introduction. We definitely want to understand the market. We want to learn, see how the market accepts us, receives us. And within the space of 1 year, yes, those shares would keep trickling in. We meet most of the, maybe not all the demand, but most of the demands you mentioned. And it's good to know that we are in demand of about 24 million. I think that's what you said. So yes, we will get there. We just want to take the rope 1 day at a time. In terms of raw materials, we're a very dynamic company in as much as we learn from mistakes, we learn from things that happen in markets. and we try to be responsive rather than reactive. In 2015, there was a major FX devaluation, which we saw the first time. And quickly, what we decided to do is to start to pivot from importing most of our raw materials to actually sourcing locally. So what we do with most of our raw materials is, yes, it's still pretty much benchmarked to the USD, but we're able to deal with a local aggregator, which helps us get access to most of these raw materials at a slightly cheaper price than if we had to import it directly, even having to look for the FX to do that importation. So most of our raw materials are about 80% are sourced locally, while just about 20 is imported. So we can't control the FX situation. All we can only do is just keep going through the tides and ensuring that we're always one step ahead of the market, or at least we can react as quick as the market changes. You said Q3 September ending results. Those results have already been sent to the SEC. In fact, they are actually part of my presentation, where we compare Q3 2022 to Q3 2023. It is actually part of the presentation, so that is already in the public space. And you mentioned something about the board. Yes, we are still expanding the board. If you notice what you saw, there's about 7 board members. That's still going up to about 9. There's still going to be introduction of independent board directors. So yeah, we are still expanding that board.
Thank you for your response, sir. Do we have any more questions, please? Okay, that will be it. Does anybody on the MIKIO team want to make any extra comments?
Not really. Thank you for this excellent and overwhelming reception. I never expected that I would be made so comfortable. On the very first day here, I had butterflies. I was trying to rehearse what to say, and but it turned out that I am one of you now, and I do understand the challenges, but never ready to dance naked. I will start practicing that in the bathroom. We do appreciate and we do recognize the responsibility of credible information, timely information, and we will make all efforts to ensure that we are not left behind any of the other members or companies that are listed on the exchange. We are fast learners, and we have a long way to go. We understand that you are the first friends that we need to make to ensure that right information seeps to the investing public. We also understand that retail investment is slowly growing in the country, and it is for companies like ours to bring, what should I say, interest in investment. I can't answer your question whether the dividend is this year or next year, because again, I don't want to be caught into any kind of quagmire with the exchange. But be rest assured that earlier it was a family-owned company, and now the responsibility is to grow with all the shareholders, and naturally it is expected that if I don't bring a smile on all my investors' face, I won't be embraced.